Hey everyone, it's Trevor with Etrailer. Today we are doing an overview and an installation of the EcoHitch 2-inch receiver on our 2016 Mazda 3. Now if you own a Mazda 3 and you're looking at hitch receivers, I'm thinking you're probably looking to put a bike rack on the back of your vehicle or maybe even a cargo carrier to extend the room you have in the vehicle for a long road trip. And based off of our neighbor's kayak carriers on the roof today, I'm assuming he's going to be doing the same thing. Our EcoHitch is going to be also very versatile, and you'll be able to do more than just put some bike racks and cargo carriers on there. It can also do some light duty towing, so if you got a jet ski or maybe a small landscaping trailer, you're definitely going to be able to use it behind this vehicle. Now if you like the environment as well, the EcoHitch is made out of all recycled materials. And the main alloys can consist of aluminum, steel, and stainless steel. It's also going to have a nice durable black powder coat on top of it. Now our hitch, like I said, is going to be able to fit a wide variety of accessories, and the standard size of pin is going to be a 5/8 hitch pin, and you can pick one up here at Etrailer if you don't have one, and a lot of our accessories also do come with them, plus you can get them in a locking style too if you plan on leaving your bike rack on long term. Now if you are someone that has a light trailer and you're looking to make sure that it will work with safety chains, you'll be having the S-hooks fit very nice, and our clevis hook fits exceptionally well as well. Now for some measurements, from the ground to the top of our receiver tube, we're a little under 13 inches, and from the center of our hitch pinhole to the outside of our receiver tube, we're looking at about 2.5 inches there. Now I did mention some light duty towing, so we can get into those specs on the hitch itself. So for the tongue weight, we're looking at 300 pounds of capacity, and then for the gross trailer weight, we're looking at 2,000 pounds there. So you can tow a small trailer, but I always recommend to just double check with your vehicle's owner manual to make sure that your vehicle can actually support the specs that the hitch is rated for. Now an alternative to our 2-inch receiver is going to be a 1.25-inch receiver. The only issue with those is that they become a little bit less common nowadays, and a lot of accessories aren't being made for 1.25 specifically anymore, but it is still an option that will work well for your Mazda 3. And the installation process on those is a little bit easier than the one we have today. And speaking of that install, for the 2-inch receiver, what we had to do was take apart the rear fascia, which included taking out the taillights and the inside of our fender liner to get that off. It is a little bit more involved, so you will want to make sure you have enough time set aside to complete this job. But if this is something that is making you a little bit nervous, you can always check out our dealer locator tool to help you find a shop near you. They'll be able to get your car in and back out on the road for you. Well, with all that being said, we can go ahead, get this up in the air, and jump into our installation. Before we begin our installation, what we're going to do is go ahead and go around the seams of our fascia and get it all marked up with the painter's tape so we can prevent any scratching while we're taking off the panels. Now, to take off our fascia, we're going to have to start with removing the taillights. And keep in mind, when we're doing this, it's going to be both sides we're doing this on. And to start, we'll reach back here and grab this cover and pull that off. And behind here, we're going to have 3 nuts on 3 different studs that are connected to our taillight. We'll have to remove those as well as the connectors. And on the back of the connector, there's going to be a little tab that you press down on and it comes right out. So now I'm going to take a 10mm socket and a stubby ratchet, and I'm going to remove each one of those nuts. Now with our nuts removed, we can go ahead and remove the taillight. And all you're going to have to do is grab it and pull straight out. And now we'll go ahead and repeat that on the other side. Now we'll have 1 screw located right behind our taillight assembly. Here in our wheel well, we have 1 push pin that's holding the inside fender well to our fascia. We'll have to remove that before we can start popping the pins out of place along the seam. Now we're going to go ahead and use the same 10mm socket we used up top for the taillights on these bolts, and you'll have 1 on each side. Now before we can get our fascia taken off, we're going to have 1 more bolt located right here. We'll have another plastic nut farther back in the fender liner, and then behind here we'll have 1 more nut. And to take that off, I'm using a 5/16 socket. So now we're going to take the fender liner and pull that down so we can get access to the bolt behind it. To do this, you'll just reach back in here, find the seam of it, and kind of pull on it until you find that spot where it just kind of pulls straight out. And then you'll just work your way down, just pulling straight out, and you'll pull out these little plastic clips here. Now with that out of the way, our bolt right here is located at the seam still. So if you look straight up into your fender liner after you get pulled back with this, in comparison to where the seam's at, you'll find that bolt. Now when we were taking off the fascia, we noticed that there's one more bolt that's holding this in place. It's located right next to that other bolt we took out up here. Now, one thing we did find is that there's two Phillips head screws holding the fender liner to our fascia, and we're just going to go ahead and remove those so that can hang and stay on the car while we take the fascia off to put our hitch on. Now, before we can truly take the fascia off, we'll have these two bolts, one on each side. As long as you get those removed, everything should come free now. Now with all the bolts out of place and our fascia off, we'll go ahead and get this set aside somewhere safe and get the bumper off. Now we're going to go ahead and take off the bumper support, and we're going to use a 17mm socket, and you'll have two bolts up top, two below, and on both sides of the vehicle. And if you're having a bit of a trouble trying to get these bolts to break free, grab a bigger ratchet with some more leverage on it, and then it should break free a lot easier for you. So now that we have all of the bolts broken and the last couple nuts still hanging on to our bumper support, we'll go ahead and spray down our exhaust hangers with some lubricant and get those popped off on both sides. Now after we let that soak for a minute, what you can do is you can use a pry bar or any type of prying tool, but these ones are coming out pretty easy, so all you have to do is work it back and forth and then just slide it off. Now we'll grab our extra set of hands again. I still have Scott helping me with this. We'll remove those hand tight nuts and then get our bumper support off and to the side for now. And now we'll go ahead and take our hitch and hang that over the studs, and then we'll put the bumper support back on. And we'll get one bolt started hand tight on both sides, and then we will start to tighten up the bolts to kind of suck the hitch up and the bumper support up to make it easier to get the rest of these started hand tight. Now with everything snugged up, what I'll do is I'll go back with a torque wrench and get everything torqued down to the specifications included in our instructions. Now if you don't have a torque wrench, you can pick one up here at Etrailer, or you can rent one from your local auto parts store. And now with our hitch torqued down, we'll go ahead and put the exhaust hanger back in place. Now we're going to go ahead and take our fascia and hold it up to where it should sit when it's back on the vehicle to get an idea of what we're going to need to trim off of our fascia. Now I went and made a couple marks. So what I did was, this is going to be the smaller mark that I'm going to cut first, And if I need to go a little bit bigger, this is the mark I made from the instructions. And to do this, you can use any type of cutting tool. I'm going to be using a multi-tool today. And now what we'll do is we'll go ahead, take this and mock it back up and make sure that the hitch slides through and the fascia goes back on properly. If it doesn't, we'll make our second cut, and then we will take a flat edge knife and just kind of round off the edges and get any of this extra debris out of the way. Okay. It looks like we're going to probably have to make that second cut because it's not really fitting around like it should be. And now that we went ahead and made the adjustments to our fascia like we were planning, and we like the look of it, we're going to go ahead and get everything put back on in the reverse order we took it off in. And with everything put back in place, you've gone ahead and completed the installation of the EcoHitch 2-inch receiver on your Mazda 3. I hope this video helped you out with getting that installed. My name's Trevor. Thank you for watching.